At the vigil on the Northbrook Village Green, there were rainbow flags draped over the gazebo railings, but the vigil wasn't about gays. The officiants were from a dozen different faiths, but the vigil wasn't about religion. The attendees held candles, but the vigil wasn't about primitive lights. In the final analysis, the vigil was about reaffirming our common humanity. We need that reaffirmation because we are too often battered by attempts to destroy our common humanity. Prayers were offered to stand together and to remember, honor, and stand for those cut down by angry violence. And for all of us, not just those gathered on a spring evening in the park, but for all people everywhere to live in peace and love. And I assure you that doing so, living for that day of peace and love, is not enough. Waiting for that day will only get us more of what we are getting right now. Over 80 U.S. homicides per day by firearm. We have more than twice as many mass shootings per year than the next 4 countries combined. Vigils won't stop the next homicide, but vigils can propel us off our passive backsides and into action, and that is the only thing that will begin to stop the carnage. 90% of Americans want universal background checks for the sale of any firearm, and 80% of NRA members want that too. Why isn't that the law of the land? The vast majority of Americans want assault rifles banned entirely, but anybody with enough cash can buy one in minutes. Now, why is that? Following the massacre in Orlando, there is now pressure to create legislation to prevent anyone on a terrorist watch list from buying firearms. That effort required nearly 15 hours of filibustering by Senator Chris Murphy of Connecticut just to enable a discussion of the topic. Why do so many congressmen and senators block any gun safety measures from becoming law? What is the reason for all the pushback against what Americans want? The answer is the money of the NRA. Without it, many members of Congress would have trouble funding their re-election campaigns. So they take money from the NRA and then do its bidding to enhance sales of firearms for the companies of the firearms industry, the true masters of the NRA. That makes it possible for an angry young man to purchase an AR-15, a handgun, and lots of ammunition, and then kill 49 people and wound another 53 in an Orlando nightclub. Here's the translation of that into simple truth. The senators and congressmen who make themselves beholden to the NRA care more about their political careers than they do about more than 100 casualties in just one night in Orlando, or the holiday partiers in San Bernardino, or 20 little kids and 6 teachers killed in Sandy Hook, or the people in a church in Charleston, or the moviegoers who came to see the new Batman movie in Aurora, or the kids at Columbine High School. These legislators care more about their political careers than they do about the brutal deaths of over 30,000 Americans every year. And if you are the next victim of an angry young man who decides to shoot up the theater you're attending, these legislators really don't care. Not about you. And that won't change just because we held candles during the vigil in the Village Green Park. Our silence will only enable the next massacre. That will only start to change when you get up and make your voice heard. So get up, get active, get heard. Go to peacefulcommunities.org and sign the petition. Attend a rally. Get up, get active, get heard. Go to the websites for the Illinois Council Against Handgun Violence and People for a Safer Society and take the action steps. Get up, get active, get heard. Captain Antonio Davon Brown was a down-to-earth guy, according to the Orlando Sentinel. He was a 2008 graduate of Florida A&M University and had been deployed in Kuwait. He and I did not know one another. And now that he has been murdered in the Pulse nightclub in Orlando, Florida, we will never know one another. That he was there suggests that he liked to have a good time. He might have been gay, or perhaps he just liked hanging out with friends and the loud upbeat music and some drinks. Captain Brown was not a statistic. He was a real person who lived and loved and hoped just like you and I do. He was only able to do that for 30 years. Just 30 years, because in America, buying an AR-15 is as easy as buying a gallon of milk. So get up, get active, get heard right here, right now. I'm Jack Altshuler.